What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. It's Monday, so you know what time it is. Time for another Mock Draft Monday. Gotta do the stat of the day, gotta go over some news, and then we're gonna do a full PPR mock draft. And I believe we're gonna do one of my favorite setups: 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, and 2 flex spots. Opens up plenty of flexibility. You wanna go running backs, you wanna go wide receivers, you can do really whatever you want in the draft. Probably my favorite setup. But first, let's start things off with do stat of the day. Yesterday's stat was last season, which team held their opponents to the lowest points per play? Answer, of course, the Patriots, and Chase Palmer was the first to get that one right. Today's stat, weeks 1 through 8 last season, the first half of the season, Michael Thomas led the league in WOPR, which is weighted opportunity rating. It is a very predictive metric. It is something that does translate year over year, and it's something we look at a lot when we look at like trade targets, so players who have a really high WOPR but like aren't producing as much in fantasy. We know they're very, very involved in the offense. So Michael Thomas was first over the first half last season. Who was second? But let's go over some news. So a little bit of injury. I don't want to go too in depth in this because Darrell did a good video on, what was that, Saturday, going over a bunch of different injury news. And of course, injury news changes a lot. So I know I'm recording this the day before it goes out, but things can change. But I think I listed the 4 here that I would be looking at the most. We've got Ronald Jones, minor foot injury, doesn't seem big, but this is one we have to watch. We have to see how much he's going to practice this next week. I'm not panicking too much right now, but definitely not someone where you just need to go out and draft everywhere, especially in a full PPR league like we're going to do in this one. Might not be a guy we go after because his receiving upside already isn't that high, and now he's got the injury. Don't love it. Darrell Henderson, hamstring. He is expected back for week 1. I do believe them when they say this. It really does seem like he's going to be good to go in week 1. Maybe not 100%, but he's going to be close to 100%. Obviously, when a dude has a hamstring injury and they're close to 100%, they have a higher chance of re-injury, so something we need to watch with that. I definitely think we need to drop him in the rankings, which I have done. I have taken him off targets, but he's dropping a lot in drafts, and so if he does become a value, again, he's expected back for week 1, so he's not a bad pick. Deebo Samuel, he's recovering faster than we thought he would. It seems like there's a chance he's back week 1, but if not, then he's going to be back like week 2, week 3. They kind of need him back. They've got these injuries to their other wide receivers, and then I think Juszczyk also has an injury, so bunch of injuries with the 49ers right now. Hopefully they don't put him out there when he's not good to go and he suffers an injury. That's the worst when people get rushed back from these things. But I have moved him up a little because, I do think they're trying to rush him back pretty early in the season. And if all these other dudes are hurt, he's going to have a pretty nice share of the offense. And the last one's David Montgomery, out somewhere around like half a month to a month or a little over a month with the groin strain, I believe it is. I've done the same thing as I did with Henderson. Moved him down the rankings. He's no longer a target. He does still go kind of early, so we need to not be taking him too early because, again, he's the guy that's more likely. So Henderson's probably back week 1. Montgomery, we don't know. He could miss a few weeks of the season. I've heard some hype about our Tavis Pierce. Honestly, in my opinion, like that's like a name to keep in mind. It's best ball draft, sleeper, stuff like that. But like, realistically, you're probably just not taking anyone outside of Montgomery or Cohen in this offense. So we can look at Cohen today. It's not a pick that I love to make, but in full PPR, it gets a little better. But all these guys, monitor. Jones, Henderson, Samuel, Montgomery. Every day you should really be looking on Twitter, looking at Roto World, and just being the most up-to-date on those 4, I think, are the biggest ones. So let's go over some news. We don't have as much as last week, but we've got some. Joe Mixon absent from practice again on Friday. That was the latest news I've heard right now. So he missed Wednesday through Friday. They've said it's migraines. I guess we have to just believe them, but there's definitely a risk that it is more than just the migraines. And so, as in, holdout. Like, as in, he's not coming back until he gets a long-term contract. Personally, if I had to guess, I would say he does not hold out. But for me, it's like, why? Like, why take the risk? Not talking about Mixon, talking about us. Like, there are so many awesome running backs going in this late first to early second round range where Yeah, if he falls to the end of them, we're obviously taking him. But if all these guys are very, very, very similar, why take the risk on the guy that might hold out? I guess that's my take. So we'll see where he ends up today, because I love him and I think he's going to have a great season if he plays. It's just I don't want to assume that risk so early in the draft. The Jets, in practice, this isn't predicting the split in the season, but in practice, it's been like 60% Bell, 40% everyone else. I don't think that's going to be the split, but every report seems to be that they love Gore. Gore's playing great. They think that Michael Piron's playing great. Bell looks slow. I think at this point, he's not going to see over 300 touches. Like, he had 311 last season. That's just not going to happen this year. That doesn't mean he's going to be a horrible pick because he could get some touchdowns. But I think the most likely scenario is that he disappoints. It's a bad offense. And with Gore coming in, I know they have an increased, like a better offensive line this season, but with Gore coming in, with Piron coming in, I don't know. I mean, the touch upside isn't there for me, and so I'm probably not going to draft him unless it becomes like a huge value. Benny Snell is pretty much locked into James Conner's backup role, so a lot of people thought Anthony McFarland would take this role, but we've been saying all summer Anthony McFarland is a change of pace back. If James Conner goes down, Anthony McFarland is not getting the full workload. They want him in there for his burst. You know, it is really, I think he was a good pick. I think he's a good addition to the team, but that's not what they want him to be as a backup. They want him to come in with like 5 carries a game or be used on maybe some third downs and just be a change of pace back that can bust off a big play and just to keep Conner healthy. But he's nothing more than that. If you are handcuffing, I don't recommend handcuffing James Conner with Snell, but if you didn't draft James Conner and you want a high upside backup, Snell apparently looks really good and he is the backup. So that's a situation I would go after if you want an upside flyer. Kerryon Johnson, yeah, he's likely to open the season as the starter. I do buy this report because Swift has missed a lot of time. And given that it's already a shortened offseason, now Swift has an injury. I guess I should have added that to injuries to monitor. But he's got the leg injury. And so if he's going to miss all this time naturally, plus with the injury, they're not just going to throw him out there to a full workload. So I think Kerryon's going to be the starter to start the season. I think if you're drafting RB0, Kerryon's a name to keep in mind. Because in RB0, you want these running backs that early in the season, they're going to have a role. I really think if you drafted like quarterback, tight end, wide receivers, a bunch of those guys early, and you waited late, and you had to start Kerryon Johnson as your running back 2 to open the season, I think you're going to be fine. I really do, because I think he's going to produce. He's not the type of pick I like to make if we're not doing that. So if we're doing our normal strategy of like a lot of running backs and wide receivers early, and we don't need his pick to produce early in the season, well, I'd pick someone else, because I do think once Swift is back, Swift will be the guy. And so I'm unlikely to take him. But again, if you go RB0, it's not a bad pick. Sterling Shepard, he's basically emerged as the one in New York. And I've been watching this situation all off season, all training camp, because it's like we think Slayton is good. And I think Tate is probably third on that team as far as what we'd want in fantasy. But I've been interested to see Slayton versus Shepard. I really think at this point it's going to be Shepard's like the guy. He's the guy they lean on the most. I think he's going to be the most targeted receiver. And I think he's probably going to be the most valuable in fantasy. I think Slayton's the guy you want in best ball leagues, or to sometimes put in your flex and season long if you want upside, because I think week to week, Slayton's got a lot more upside just given where his routes are going to be. He's going to be used more deep downfield. But if we're looking at who's going to be the most targeted and the most consistent and the most reliable fantasy option, I think it's Shepard. So keep that in mind, because he's a value. We have him as a target. I have him above ADP, ECR. He's a good pick, and we haven't talked about him too much, and I don't think anyone really has. So keep that in mind if you guys are doing drafts right now. Darrell Henderson, similar situation to what we just talked about with Benny Snell. Did I say Henderson? Darrell Williams. He's the clear handcuff to Clyde at this point. He's beaten out DeAndre Washington for that backup spot. And so if you are looking to handcuff Clyde, again, I don't recommend doing this. If you want to handcuff Clyde, go with Williams. And if you want the upside pick as well and you didn't draft Clyde, go with Williams as well. Singletary, he is fumbling a lot in camp apparently. Again, I mean, I say this in like every video I've ever made. Draft Zack Moss. J.K. Dobbins, reports are he will have a role in week 1. I've been watching that one as well because if he can get all of what the backups did behind Ingram last season, he could be valuable. I'll say in like definitely in standard leagues. In half PPR, maybe you can use him in the flex to start the season. I think the most likely scenario is in full PPR, no way. And in half PPR, you probably don't want to be starting Dobbins to open the season. But I guess if you kind of draft a lot of wide receivers early, and again, if he's your like flex, maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't love it. But he's one of the highest upside picks. Like at this point, he's pretty clearly the backup. He's clearly going to have a role to start the season, which means if he's crushing, they can slowly shift that work more towards Dobbins. So if you are a Dobbins fan, this is great news that he's going to have a role in week 1. Last two are tight ends, and they're late tight ends. So Eifert is having a strong camp. A lot of connection with Minshew right now. I really don't hate him in best ball leagues for sure as like your third tight end, or as your tight end 2 in a redraft league. Like, because I know some people like the strategy of I don't want early tight end, and there's so many late tight ends I like. Let's just take a shot on 2 of them in like the 13th, 14th round. I think that's a viable strategy because I mean it is still a low success rate. So if you want it to be like I like Herndon. So Herndon shining in camp as well. You know, all the Jets wide receivers are hurt. It's basically Herndon and Crowder are like the 2 guys. I'd be fine with just leaving the draft with Herndon. But if you wanted to take Herndon and say, you know what, he had like less than 20 snaps last year, I don't trust the guy. Okay, take Eifert in like the final round as well. And now you've got 2 options that I kind of like as flyers late. Again, I think Herndon honestly can be your tight end 1. But Eifert is a name to definitely keep in mind. So we didn't have any polls last week, I don't think, because basically there were no decision points. Every time we got to a pick, it was pretty clear what we wanted to do. We'll see if there's any decision points this week that we can kind of look at. But we're doing the 1 spot. So we've actually, last week we finished 1 through 12 twice. So we've done every single spot. I know you guys asked so many times in the comment section, have you done a draft from like the 7 or the 4 or the 5? Yes. Twice. Whatever you say, I've done it twice. Maybe not your specific settings, but everything's been done twice. And we've done late and middle in like the last 4 drafts, I think. So we're going back to early in this one for those of you who need that. We're going to do the 1. I talked about this specifically in Friday's podcast only. So on Spotify, on iTunes, sometimes we release podcast only episodes answering questions you guys submit to the website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. If you have questions in fantasy, I answer them on the podcast sometimes. But the big question here was, you're at 1, you're taking, it was really 1 or 102, because you can kind of do this with Barkley and McCaffrey. But if you take Barkley at 1, what if we take, like Mahomes and Kittle, or Mahomes and Kelsey, if you want to stack them at 2 and 3? It's something I've definitely talked about in videos, and I kind of want to see how this draft turns out. So we'll see what happens. But I think it's a great question because it's something that's on every single person's mind when you have the 1 or the 2 pick. And sometimes, honestly, even the 3 pick, because you can kind of throw Zeke in there as well. But again, like I said, we're going 2 flex spots, 2 wide receivers, 2 running back, 7 bench. Also, so, wait, what was this? Hold on. We talked about this last week, right? Increases the realism in box value, customize. Okay, that's exactly what we thought it was last week. So if you guys go to Fantasy Pros, this is actually huge. Okay. If you go to Fantasy Pros, and this is a site that I think everyone should be mock drafting on. I think it's the most realistic, and it helps you the most get prepared for your draft very quickly. Let's say you're drafting at the 101. You know that your league loves running back early, and they always take quarterbacks. It's crazy. They always reach on quarterbacks. Well, before, there's no other site that you can just like customize how that happens. You can try and go on ESPN or Yahoo, all these different sites, and draft with people, but it's not consistent with your league. And so if people in your league really draft running backs, you can adjust this and say, hey, mock drafting system, include variance, which is what this does. It includes like, it's not going to be the same every time. There's going to be differences in how it happens, but make sure running backs go early. I'm curious how it works, so I think I'm going to try this. Or like rookies. Some people are in leagues where people love rookies, and so you can value them slightly higher. I think this is an awesome thing that they added. So let's try it out. Let's not do very high. There's a lot of different options here. Let's say high. So this basically means you're not going to get any of the top 14 running backs. So the top 14 are very clear this season, which means sometimes if you're drafting at the 101, you can get one of the running backs, but oftentimes you can't. You're not going to get one of those top 14, and so you're basically forced to make a decision between, like I said earlier, Mahomes, Lamar, Kittle, and Kelsey, or the top end wide receivers. And so I want to do this because I think I don't want to end up with one of those top 14 because I want to see what happens when those all go. I don't think I'm going to adjust anything else because, I don't know, we're trying out the running back ones, and if I make everything high, then everything goes back to normal. That's interesting. I'm very happy that that's what ended up happening. So we're first. Yeah, got it. Go away. Okay. I want to make sure this is visually appealing to you guys. So we want to pull up the draft board. Nope, we don't want to do that. We want to pull up the cheat sheet in high drafted, which is no one right now. So I'm not even going to talk about this one. Christian McCaffrey's the top pick. We're going to see a boatload. Oh, yeah. The system works. A bunch of running backs are going to come off the board here. I love this. This is so cool that they added this in. Okay. So let's pull up the draft board now. So we see Kelsey go. That's the only tight end. We see no quarterbacks go. For running backs, Saquon, Zeke, Kamara, Cook, Clyde, Henry, Mixon, Sanders, Eckler, Drake, Chubb, Jacobs, Aaron Jones. Those are the top 14. I really hope I listed off 14. I'm pretty sure that's the top 14. And then James Conner, I have at 15. So actually that was correct in my opinion. Michael Thomas, Adams, Julio, Tyreek Hill, Hopkins, Galladay, and Godwin all go. Kind of would have been nice to grab Godwin at that pick. So who is left? We see, you guys know, starting off tier 2 for me is DJ Moore and Allen Robinson, at least for what's left because I've Galladay, but he got taken. So DJ Moore and Allen Robinson is who we'd be deciding between at this pick. Remember, we have 2 picks. It was, wait, did someone not, it was 14, but the 15 is here. So did someone else, maybe I'm just thinking about this wrong. I'm looking at here, none of the top 14 are there. So maybe I counted wrong. I don't know. But we look at these running backs. Basically, we would have loved Connor, but I'm not pumped about the value on Fournette, on Gurley here. I feel like those guys are more mid to late third round picks. And when we're thinking about this, right, we have the option, like I said, of taking Mahomes and taking Kittle. So what we can do with our team is we can start off with the number 1 running back. Potentially, I really think Kittle can finish as the number 1 tight end this season, and no one's going to argue that Patrick Mahomes can finish as the top quarterback. So locking in number 1 at 3 spots is pretty darn nice, right? And we know coming into these picks in this, I guess it'd be 4th and 5th round, there are going to be wide receivers we love. And so when you think about it like that, your team is really nice when you start off that way. My problem is that everyone watching this video is an above average fantasy player. Pat yourself on the back. I said this in the podcast. You are an above average fantasy player if you're watching this video. You're putting the time in. Because streaming is an option for you, you should do it. That's just how it works out. A lot of people, it's not an option for. They don't put the time in. They don't know the matchups. They don't know where to look for the matchups. And so they kind of need to take these quarterbacks early and middle because they're not going to be able to stream. But streaming is such an advantage that if you have the option to do it, you should. And so I recommend if you really want a tight end here, which I'm considering, that you can do that because I do have Kittle. I don't remember exactly. It's either 19th or 20th overall in the rankings. I really do think Kittle's the only early round tight end I have as a target, early or mid. It's Kittle, it's Hurst, Fant, Hawkinson, and then you get into like the sleepers I like, your Jonnu Smiths, your Jarwins, your Herndon, stuff like that. But Kittle's a guy I would go after early. And so I know he's got a little bit of a hamstring, I think, right now, but I'm not concerned with that. So basically, this is a long way of saying we're not taking any of these running backs because we have McCaffrey. We're fine just taking him. It would be really, really nice to start off with both Allen Robinson and Moore because also thinking about it, we know David Montgomery might start the season hurt. They might throw the ball a ton to start the year. And we know Allen Robinson is the pretty clear alpha. We do like Anthony Miller, but like Allen Robinson's the alpha. So that's very tough. That is a very tough decision. That's going to be our decision point. Do I go? I actually do have more ahead of Robinson. So would you guys rather take George Kittle and DJ Moore, and we're locking in studs at different positions, or full PPR league? I mean, Allen Robinson can catch 100 passes. Allen Robinson, DJ Moore. We forego Kittle. It means we won't get him at the next pick, and then it means that we're basically waiting a long time. We're hoping that we probably get a running back soon and then take more wide receivers. Let me know what you would do in the comment section. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take more because I've said that I have more ranked ahead of Allen Robinson. And then I am going to take Kittle because I do believe in the overall rankings I have Kittle ahead of Allen Robinson. And I just think with how many injuries, too, they have at wide receiver, I think Kittle could explode. And he's such a positional advantage. So we've started off, David Johnson went right before us. Okay, so we've got McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and George Kittle. After us, we do see both Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson go. We see Mark Andrews and Ertz go. At running back, we see Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley, Carson, Jonathan Taylor, Bell, David Johnson, a bunch of guys we like go. And then a lot of wide receivers. Mike Evans, Ridley, Allen Robinson goes in the mid-third. Thielen, Juju, Woods, Amari Cooper, Odell, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, and Terry McLaurin go. So that's rough. But you know what? We got options. So we can take Dak. I do definitely prefer waiting until I feel like at least the late 5th round for Dak. And again, because streaming's an option for us, it better be a great value on Dak. So probably not there. If we look at running back, I love Kareem Hunt. I really like Swift. I had Swift ahead of Hunt, but this injury bumps him back. So I do think, honestly, Hunt is the pick if we're going for running back. If we're looking back at wide receiver, I love DJ Chark. Tyler Lockett's an awesome pick. So Chark, Lockett, Metcalf. Brown is awesome, but I feel like in full PPR, it's a bit of a downgrade knowing that he's just not going to have as many receptions as these guys. Definitely think I want to take one of these receivers. And in full PPR, I think Lockett is actually the better pick than Chark. Gosh, I would really like both of them though, because if we can start off DJ Moore, Lockett, and Chark, I feel so good about that trio. And that's such a good start. My other problem though is it's going to be a long time for one of these running backs. And with how good I feel about Kareem Hunt, especially in a full PPR league, and having the upside, if Chubb ever went down, man, oh my goodness. I mean, we won. If Chubb went down, this league is won. Because you have McCaffrey and another top 5 running back to pair with Kittle, who's going to be a top 2, top 3 receiver for tight end, obviously. And then having our favorite pick between Chark and Lockett, that opens up so much upside. I guess it's who do we think is going to be available at our next spot? Like, do we think... I feel like maybe Ronald Jones would be our top pick, and I already said I don't love that. I don't love James White. It'd be gross, man. I think we have to. Okay. I think at this pick, you have to take Kareem Hunt. You just got to make sure you've got that second running back. And now we take our favorite between DJ Chark and Lockett. Because I was looking down here, I think we can get another solid wide receiver we really like. I don't think we need both Chark and Lockett. But I am going to take Lockett. He was really, really good before his injury last season. I know, honestly, coin flip. It's a coin flip between him and Chark. I just think one of them is playing with Minshew, who is good, but like one of them is playing with Minshew, and one of them is playing with Russell Wilson. And so I'm going to lean the dude playing with Russell Wilson. You know? Open it up. Okay. So, this dude, can I just say, I know it's a computer. This guy is taking all our picks, this Stafford. I wanted Chris Godwin. I wanted David Johnson. I know David Montgomery here, but I was kind of complaining more that Edelman was getting taken. Like, we're getting sniped a few times. But if we look, I don't really want to go over every name, but we do see Dak and Wilson go, and we see Darren Waller and Evan Ingram go. We see a ton of wide receivers come off the board, and the only running backs that get taken are White, Singletary, Ingram, Swift, Akers, and Montgomery. So no one that we really needed. I think it was the correct decision. I really do think that grabbing Hunt there. So here's our team. Christian McCaffrey, Kareem Hunt, and then DJ Moore, Tyler Lockett, and George Kittle. I think that's a phenomenal start. We're not weak in any position, so we can grab kind of whatever we want here. Dak is off the board. We would have probably taken him at this pick. When did he go off the board? Okay, so he went off the board in the early 6th. I only have Dak early, so at this point, we're going to abandon looking at quarterback. We don't even need to look at tight end, obviously. So we're just looking at running back and wide receiver. I don't even want to talk too much about this decision because everyone that watches the channel knows that you got to be going out and drafting Gallup. But realistically, there was no way I was taking 2 running backs, and Gallup was pretty clearly the top guy there. Goodness, do I love this receiver core. DJ Moore, Tyler Lockett, and Gallup having taken McCaffrey and Kittle. Nice. Okay. So given that it's a full PPR league and we can start 4 wide receivers and we've already got McCaffrey, so we're not too worried about running back. I feel like since there's no one clear in my eyes right here, let's take another wide receiver. I want upside with this pick, which basically for me means it's down to Marquis Brown and AJ Green. AJ Green concerns me a lot with these injuries and is taking all this time off. And I already made a video, probably a week ago, talking about how Marquis Brown could legitimately be the next Tyreek Hill. Again, there are a lot of similarities between the two, but just this offense is so good in Baltimore. And I know he's not like going to be high volume, but we've seen the upside, right? We've seen this weekly upside, and I'm cool with a volatile player at this pick because I am very confident that all of Moore, Lockett, and Gallup will be consistent. And so you know what? In my second flex, I want that upside. I want that player who might score 4 points, but has a ceiling for like he did in week 1. What was it? 4 for 147 and 2 touchdowns on like 7 snaps, like on like no snaps. Like, Marquis Brown, man, I really like him as a pick this season. But anyways, so quarterbacks, don't really care about them. I know some have gone, but we don't really care. We talked about Shepard. Oof, man, we can load up on wide receivers right now because I like Shepard. I like Anthony Miller. Love CeeDee Lamb. Mike Williams, we're avoiding. I love Rager. Hardman, we're getting kind of into a little bit later. We probably don't need to take them. But here, this would be between Shepard, Miller, and Lamb with this pick. I believe I have Lamb, then Shepard, then Miller as the rankings. It's probably not a bad idea to take a running back with this pick. And if you follow the channel, you know which one I want to take right now, and that would be Zack Moss. Again, Singletary fumbling issues. Singletary was not a good receiving back in college. He was not a good receiving back last season. We know Zack Moss is one of the better receiving prospects. We know he's received fantastic reviews, fantastic reports out of camp. And so I wouldn't even risk not getting him in the next round. So let's take 1 and 1. I think I have Lamb higher. But man, is Shepard tempting to take. What do we need? So we've got Moore, Lockett, Gallup, and Brown. I feel like with this pick we lean who's got... Oh, wait, no. Yeah. So we do lean who has more upside, but we don't want to cap the upside of our team. And I talked about this on Friday too. You could take Lamb here, and I think it's fine. I said 10th round is like, don't worry about taking 2 players from the same offense, 10th round and on. And I also said if it's a player on the 8 offenses I mentioned, I don't remember off the top of my head. It was basically like the 8 best offenses and condensed offenses. I'm cool taking 2 receivers. The problem is, if I want the most upside here, Lamb hits his upside if like Gallup or Cooper get hurt. And so since it's practically a tie for me between Lamb and Shepard, if this is my league, I am going to lean Shepard. I just have to remember, okay, I was thinking like, did I take a Giant player? Because I definitely don't want to take 2 Giants players. Yeah, we'll take Shepard, and then we'll take our boy, Zack Moss. No, I don't think that's a reach because he was not going to be there in the next round. And realistically, I don't want any of those running backs that are really on the board. I think maybe Breida. But even Breida, like he's in a committee on a worse offense with a much worse offensive line. I think Dolphins have the last, like the worst strength. It's either the worst or second worst. But anywho, I think Zack Moss is an incredible pick. So Let's roll through the team again. We've got 4 running backs: Christian McCaffrey, Kareem Hunt, and Zack Moss. We are loaded at wide receiver: DJ Moore, Lockett, Gallup, Brown, and Shepard. And then we've got George Kittle at tight end. Still do not need to look at quarterback. You could take Breeze here. It's a nice value in the end of the 10th round for Breeze. But realistically, I don't think we need to unless we don't like anything else with 2 picks. Actually, we have 2 picks. So we kind of could. But unless we don't like anything else with these picks, I love Jalen Reagor. And so I love it's basically Reagor, Lazard, Samuel, Deshaun. Those would be the picks there. But I really think there's just no way. I have 2 picks here. I'm not taking Reagor with one of them. So we'll take Reagor. Running back, I said Sony Michel is practically undraftable in a PPR league. Basically, we're all at just handcuffs right now. So we could take Scott. We could take Pollard, Edmonds. Damian Harris would not be a bad pick. I'm a little bit concerned with Sony's back now, and that bumps Harris down a little bit because if Sony was going to be unhealthy to start the season, Harris was going to dominate. Now that they're both back, it's kind of a gross committee because you're definitely going to have James White on third downs. Harris is going to come in on some third downs, some early downs, but will he have enough volume to be startable early in the season? No, he will not. Can he break out? Absolutely. That's why I still think he's a great pick. Would I prefer him over going with Breeze is a big question. Honestly, though, yes. I think so. Because, like I said, if we're going to stream, we take that away. So that's actually a big thing. I want to talk about that. So if I take Drew Brees here, I basically can't stream because I'm going to have to play Breeze every single week. And is Breeze going to be a top 6 quarterback? Probably not. And if I can get 6 to 8 quarterback production streaming, I'm actually doing a disservice to my team by taking Breeze and being forced to start him every week. Think about it like that, which means I'm going to get a lower grade on this draft because they think that's going to be a reach. But I think it's smart. Overall, wait on quarterback. Just keep waiting. I don't remember how many picks we have, so we have to think. Oh, Breeze went I probably would have taken him in the late 12th at that point because now we are in the streaming range. We don't have that many picks left. We have 3 bench spots. So, again, probably not going to take a quarterback. So we're going to take, how many do we have? So we have McCaffrey, Hunt, Moss, Harris. We only have 4 running backs, and then we've got Moore, Lockett, Gallup, Brown, Shepard, Reagor. We've got 6 wide receivers. We're probably set at wide receiver. I know there's some cool options here we can take shots on, but we don't really need them. So I think the best option would be to take 2 of our favorite high upside running backs here. Looking at the list, Hyde's not a horrible option, but DJ Dallas is probably going to get some third down work. And so even if Carson went down, I don't think Hyde's going to be that great. So Hyde's fine. Thompson getting good reviews, but purely a third down back. I want upside with this pick. Love, but there's actually reports Love might not make the team. If they're only going to keep 3 running backs, it seems like Love's not going to be one of them. So a little bit off him now. Benny Snell, we just talked about earlier, that could be an option. Jerick McKinnon could be an option. Probably not the most upside, though. I honestly think our 2 picks here would be Benny Snell and Darrell Williams. I know Darrell Williams is going to be there later in the draft, so we don't need to take him. Who do we want with that extra bench spot? Do we want 3 running backs? We probably do, right? Because optimally for this team, we're probably not going to be starting these wide receivers. And so optimally, we want to take as many shots on running backs here as possible because if we hit on one of them to pair with McCaffrey and potentially Hunt, that's how you win this league. So definitely going to take Benny Snell with one of these in case Connor goes down. Yeah, we don't care about reaching in the 13th round. Again, don't really care about any of them. Maybe we just take the quarterback we want and just make sure we get him because we know these other running backs are going to be there. So my favorite quarterback left on the board would be between Big Ben and Cam Newton. I do not remember who the Steelers play to open the season. That would be kind of important. I do think the Patriots play the Dolphins, which, good matchup. They're not as bad as they were last season on defense, but they're not elite by any measure. Yeah. We'll make sure we get Newton. And then next pick, we'll probably end up taking, we'll take Darrell Williams. And then I don't even know who the next best upside guy is. I think we'll have to scroll through these running backs. But it'll be kind of cool. Scroll through the running backs and see some upside. So we'll just take Darrell just like, we know we're going to take him with one of these. I counted that, right? I just want to make sure I counted the bench spots correctly. Oh, yeah, we have one more bench spot. So another high upside running back. Let's get some sleepers for you guys. I mean, we could technically handcuff Bonifon. I guess you'd be handcuffing McCaffrey with Bonifon. I'm not actually sold he's the backup, so I don't know that that's the best pick. Eno, I guess technically has a path, but you'd need Chase and Drake to get hurt. J.D. McKissick. Wait, I forget what the report was. I wish I knew that off the top of my head. I know McKissick has like some reviews in camp. I can't remember. I know the two were Peterson and Gibson that they were going to keep. I can't remember if the third was McKissick or it was Peyton Barber. Maybe we can look that up because that would actually be important. So if McKissick was the guy, I think if we look up Love, and that's actually probably the best way we can get to that because I think it was a Love report. Okay, do they list? Okay, so I think it would be McKissick, right? Yeah, okay. So that would be the pick then. If McKissick is going to be, because Gibson, like, he's got a ton of upside, but realistically, remember, he has 77 total touches in college. So there's no way he knows everything about pass protection. There's no way they're just going to throw him out there for like every single play. Honestly, I can't even find McKissick. Where is he? There he is. Okay. There's no way that he's going to have a huge role. And so you've got Adrian Peterson out there, but like apparently McKissick's been really good, and we know McKissick is pretty good in the receiving game. And so I think if they're only going to keep 3 running backs each week, like I think McKissick is not a horrible pick. Again, it's probably not the most upside because it's Washington, but like I don't think it's a bad pick. People are going to argue. I mean, I guess you could have actually. McKissick was not going to be drafted, so it wouldn't have been a terrible idea to take your defense there. But again, all our defenses are always available, the ones we want. It's Chargers, Bucks, Chiefs, and Colts. Look at the rankings for the order. I actually don't remember. I know it's either the Bucks or the Chargers, and I think Chargers are the only one left on the board. And again, we're going to get tanked in the grade because all those running backs we took. But this is what we want. We could have easily gotten into the 90s if we took all the high-ranked players late in the draft. But we don't want to do that. We want to open our team up to upside. So we want to draft guys like Snell and Darrell Williams and McKissick. Because you know what? The most likely scenario is we drop all of them. But what if Clyde gets hurt and Darrell Williams is the lead back on Kansas City? And what if Connor gets hurt and they make Snell the lead back, which I think they would do? Or what if McKissick takes a lot more work than we think? Or Damian Harris wins the job in New England? Or Zack Moss takes the job in Buffalo? Like, all those guys have a path. That's what I want. I don't want these third down backs that are ranked higher than give you a higher grade. So if you guys are mock drafting on here, which I recommend, and you're doing these settings, which I recommend, don't worry about the grade. Don't be trying to maximize your grade because that's not what we're looking at. We're building these teams like I just showed you. And the same thing with streaming. We could have gotten a value probably on Breeze. I bet you our grade's higher if we took Breeze. But Breeze forces us to not stream. With Newton, I didn't invest as much draft capital in him. I think he's got a good matchup to start the season. I think he can be fantastic. But if he's not fine, I'm okay dropping him and just streaming after that. I'm not fully invested in Cam Newton. But to run through the starting lineup, because I kind of just ran through the bench, we've got Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, Kareem Hunt, DJ Moore, Tyler Lockett, George Kittle, Michael Gallup, Marquis Brown, and the Chargers. And then it was the running backs I mentioned before with Shepard and Rager also on the bench. I think we did have that one decision point. I don't know how easy it's going to be to look back at. Remember we said DJ Moore, would we rather have had DJ Moore and Allen Robinson or taking Kittle there? Honestly, I think we made the right call. And I think that is a really good thing to look at because a lot of you are going to have this choice with these early picks. Wide receivers so awesome in the middle rounds. I love Gallup. I love Lockett. I love Moore. I don't think we needed to add in Allen Robinson there because George Kittle is such a positional advantage. So if you are at the 101, 102, 103, I'm cool taking Kittle or Kelsey, preferably in the third round. I have them ranked as late second round picks, so I'm cool taking one of those two. You would love it if, I want to count this out because I feel like I'm going mad. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It is 14. Okay. It's 14 running backs. These top 14 guys. If any of those guys are available and you took one of McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke, Kamara, you need to pair one of those guys with one of these top 14 running backs. But if it happens like this, where in these top, I guess this would be like 17 picks, 14 of them are running backs. It's kind of how I have it ranked. But maybe that happens in your league and you just have no chance. I think it is still optimal to take one of these tight ends and one of the wide receivers instead of the quarterback. But that, my friends, is potentially the final mock draft of the season. I mean, maybe I don't even know what the schedule is next week. But guys, looking at this schedule, this is week 1, the 10th, which means we only have one Monday left. And I think we might be talking about week 1 matchups at that point. Not very many draft videos left. So maybe that was the final one. But anyways, that's the end of the video. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, how about hitting that like button? And how about subscribing to the channel if you're new? But thanks for watching.